Welcome to the Homeschool High School podcast, brought to you by Seven Sisters Homeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. I'm Vicki, and I am so excited because I have a homeschool graduate entrepreneur here with us today, and it's the coolest thing. So, everyone, let me introduce you to Lydia Smith. And Lydia is not only homeschool graduate, but an entrepreneur who's actually fulfilling some of her dreams already by starting her own business. So, Lydia, say hey to everybody and yeah, tell us about your homeschool journey. So let's start with your backstory.
So I was homeschooled the entirety of my time in school. I have very vivid memories of being like 4 and doing pre-K with my mom and sitting under a blanket. And we were talking about, we were doing a little homeschool thing about the Ark of the Covenant, and we had a candle for the pillar of fire.
Oh,
And it was
the best.
so
Oh,
fun. And
what
it
a
was
great
just,
mom.
yes, it was so fun.
That is really neat. So how many kids are there in your family?
There's 8 of us. So we are a big homeschool family.
You're your own co-op right there.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So what about homeschooling worked for you? What did you enjoy about it?
The flexibility. I'm one of those kids who was really ahead in one subject and really behind in the other.
Mm-hmm.
I read the Chronicles of Narnia, all 7 books in first grade, and they never would have let me do that in public school. But I was also the kid who was doing kindergarten level math in 3rd grade.
Mm-hmm.
And because of homeschooling, I was able to really dig into my love for writing and English and read crazy hard books.
Mm-hmm.
And I also was able to take it slow with math. And I graduated, actually, thanks to my mom just being willing to work with me and find something that worked. I graduated high school with all of the traditional credits. I didn't have to make any exceptions. I had all of the credits that most public schoolers would.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all because my mom could take things slow with homeschooling. So the flexibility was just incredible.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about homeschooling is you had a love. Your mom saw that you loved reading and you loved writing, and she let you run with it.
Yes.
And she let you grow math-wise at the pace that worked for you. And the world did not fall apart that you did that at your own rate. Yeah. When you look back at your homeschooling years, I mean Narnia in first grade, so
Oh, yes.
totally awesome. So what are some of the favorite books you can remember, especially like high school age? Do you have any favorites?
So yes. So in high school, I took a really intense literature course. Wasco Lit, it's now right at home literature.
Mm-hmm.
And we read some incredibly hard books, and it was so much fun. We read Moby Dick, and I remember really enjoying some of those characters, and other ones I did not enjoy. Moby Dick, and Jane Eyre was a favorite. Shakespeare, I really loved. So a lot of the classics, like the really old ones, those I just really enjoyed.
Now, did you keep that love of writing all the way
Yes, I
through?
did. Yes, I certainly did. I'm currently working with a program called the Author Conservatory, and they work with students who are interested in becoming authors full-time, and it's mentorship with industry professionals.
Girl, see, we didn't talk about that ahead of time. That's really awesome. How did you get connected with them?
I learned about them in a very roundabout way. I was a part of an online writers forum, and that led me to the Author Conservatory's like high school program, and then that led me to the conservatory. And so I joined that actually in the 2nd semester of my senior year. So that was another great thing about homeschooling is the flexibility, because I could front load some subjects and then start my, college-ish education early.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you have a writing project you're working on right now?
Yes,
This has nothing to do with the entrepreneurship. This is awesome. So anything in particular you're working on right now?
Yeah, right now I'm actually working on edits for a story. It's about David's oldest brother, Eliab. And it's kind of digging into his story and what it was like being the forgotten older brother, the one that nobody paid attention to. And just
That's a good story.
exploring that.
Yeah. How fun. That's wonderful. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, the real reason we have you on today is to talk about your entrepreneurial project.
Mhm.
So, Pieces of Forever is a
Mhm.
really cool idea. And I love that you have invested in that. So, tell us about it and how it got started. And
Mhm.
yeah, describe what you're doing.
So, Pieces of Forever is a business that my goal is just to seek to fill holes in people's lives because a lot of people have memories and they are tied to pieces of clothing, and you could only have so many boxes of clothing in your house
Right.
before you start to feel like a hoarder,
Yes.
and it's hard to get rid of them. So, what I do is I take those clothes and I turn them into throw pillows, and they're not. Um, I guess I make them look so that they fit into your decor,
Mm-hmm.
and it just gives you a way to have those memories in a way that lets you hold them close and also just have them around your house so they're there. And every time you walk by, it's like, aw. Um, yeah, so that's what I do with Pieces of Forever.
How did you get the inspiration for that?
So this goes back to actually the author conservatory. Part of our mission there is to learn the business side of books, because
Ah,
being an author is more than just writing. You actually now
right.
have to sell your books.
Yes.
Um, So in order to practice that, they have us create a small business,
Mm-hmm.
so we can learn the skills we will need someday for being an
Uh-huh.
author.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I was brainstorming ideas, I've always loved sewing for I've been sewing for like 10 years at this point. So I've been sewing for a long time and I really enjoyed it. And I've had this like idea in the back of my head for a while and brought it to the instructors and they said, "Yeah, do it." So I'm doing it.
So it really, you didn't sit and worry about it for a long time. You go like, this is
No.
something that just makes sense. And it
Yes, yeah.
really then, in part, it's not your whole life goal, but it's
Mhm.
advancing the skills
Mhm.
you need toward a writing career.
Yes.
But it's in a way that is a blessing to other people.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, and it's a real blessing to me too to be able to do this for people. I've gotten some of the sweetest responses and it just makes my day.
all right, can you think of any off the top of your head?
Oh,
Some
yes. Actually, the most recent one I had was an older man from Pennsylvania, and his wife had recently passed away,
mm,
and he sent me a little pajama shirt from her, and it came with the sweetest note and the sweetest handwriting. And when I sent it to him, I always include a little card,
yeah.
to thank him for the offer, and he sent me. I get a little teary talking about it.
Uh,
He sent me like a full paragraph explaining what his wife meant to him and how much having a piece of her that he could hold meant to him, and that was just that was incredible.
like that was so important and meaningful to
Yes.
him. Well, from the my side of the screen here is one of the hats I wear as I'm a counselor. And when I
Hmm.
have clients who are going through a grief
Yeah.
process, I always tell them try to have something tangible,
Hmm.
because our psyches get worried we're going to forget. And if you have a
Yeah.
tangible thing like that pillow,
Yeah.
then it's a thing that you can hold on
Mhm.
to even in the midst of loss. So, but you don't only do like when somebody passes, you have
Yes.
like I'm the last kid and all the baby clothes are
Oh
almost
yeah.
worn out. And so what are some projects you've done?
I have made a pillow actually for myself, out of my graduation cap and gown. I used my gown because there's no way I'm ever going to wear that again,
Yeah,
and
what
I
are you
turned it
going to do with
into a
the cap
throw
and
pillow.
gown? Uh-huh.
Exactly. So I've done graduation gown. I've done baby clothes, just to celebrate a girl who turned, I think, 16, and
Oh.
one turned her baby clothes into a cute throw pillow for her bed. I've done that. I've done joke pillows that are crazy cat sweaters turned into a pillow just to make somebody laugh. Anything that's just gonna make someone's day a little brighter, I'll be more
Yeah.
than happy to do it.
That is so cool. Hey, listen, we didn't talk about this ahead of time, but if you have some photos that you'd like to send me that I can put in the show
Mhm.
notes, then that'll
Yeah,
give
I can
people
definitely
an
do that.
idea. And of course, there'll be links to the Etsy shop
Yes.
also. Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that for sure.
Yeah. So one of the things that's really important for us is investing in the next generation. Now, you're a homeschool graduate, so you've got some advice to share about entrepreneurship um,
Mm-hmm.
with the high schoolers that are coming along behind you. So,
Mm-hmm.
what are some ideas if someone was thinking, I might like to start my own business? What would you say to them?
I've got three main tips. First one, start with the skateboard. Now, I don't mean you literally have to go buy a skateboard, but the idea is that a lot of us, when we think we need to start a business, we think we need to start Amazon or we need to start like Walmart,
Yeah, something
Walmart
huge.
or something
Yeah.
big, yes.
Mhm.
Or that you need to like reinvent the wheel and come up with something nobody else has seen before. You don't.
Mhm.
Um, for your beginning business, start with a skateboard. Start with something that is easy to do, that
Mhm.
you know how to do, that you understand. Make it something that you know how to do, and start there
Mhm.
because you can build up. If you start with something small, I knew how to sew, so I started a
Mhm.
sewing business. If you
Mhm.
know how to mow a lawn, you start a landscaping business.
Mhm.
Start with something small because those small, like that small business is going to teach you things that you can use for the next step. And then that'll
Absolutely.
teach you things for the next step. And if you someday want to start another Walmart, you'll have all the skills because of that little skateboard, that little landscaping business you started. So
Yeah.
start with a skateboard. Don't be afraid to start with something familiar. Add a little
Mhm.
twist to it, sure, but start with something familiar, and that'll give you what you need for the bigger things.
That's great. You don't despise the days of small beginnings. That
Mhm.
is very,
Yes,
very
exactly.
wise. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your next tip?
Second, get it together by going. You're never gonna get everything prepared for, okay? Like you're gonna if you try, you're just gonna get stuck. Um,
Yes.
I had one business in mind that I was gonna start, but I got stuck just going around in
Mm.
circles, making sure I had this and this and this and this and this.
Uh-huh.
Don't get started by going. And of course, like figure out the legal stuff beforehand, decide what permits you need to get,
Mhm.
get your shipping materials, get your lawnmower, you know what you need. But things were going to surprise you no matter how much
Mhm.
planning you do. So, better to just give yourself a strong foundation and get started because you'll have the momentum and you'll be able to figure things out as you go.
That is a great idea. Yep. Yeah, if you wait for everything to be perfect, it will never happen.
Yes,
How did
exactly.
you learn that kind of thinking? Did you learn that in the conservatory
A
or
lot
from?
of it is from the conservatory. Their business side is so powerful. I've taken two business courses. Um, like I had a micro business for teens program that was very, very good, but it was very focused on planning, and that's what got me stuck.
Uh,
That I never got out of the planning stage.
mhm,
And for the conservatory, they actually have a business only program that
mhm,
is you don't have to be a writer for that.
mhm.
And for that one, it's like you're going from stage to stage. There's no stalling.
Yeah.
And that's what really kind of hit that home for me because I got the basics done when I
Mhm.
started, and there have been things that surprised me along the way, like, whoop, I didn't know that would happen, and I didn't expect this to come up. But because I had that solid foundation, it wasn't enough to knock me out. I
Mhm.
had what I needed, and then I could just improvise and figure out the next steps.
That is cool. Any more pieces of advice from Pieces of Forever?
Let's see. One more would be um, it's not wrong to start a business. It's not wrong to make money.
Hmm.
What you what what it is that you're blessing somebody. Your business, even if it's mowing a lawn, you could be walking a dog, but you are blessing somebody. You are filling a hole in their life. You don't have to be changing the world or finding the cure for cancer. Walking their dog might give them 10 extra minutes with their children. Mowing their lawn might save somebody from an older person from falling. Like
Hmm.
those little jobs matter.
Hmm.
You're not being selfish.
Yeah.
You're not you're not swindling people. You're
Right.
fulfilling a need,
Yeah.
and that's what matters.
Yeah.
Focus on
Workman's
that and
worthy
make
of
it a
their
need.
hire. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, that is wonderful. So, is that idea, was that something that you had to wrestle with a little bit? A lot of times we think about search
Yeah.
and serve, and it's harder to earn. So
yes. Yeah, that one took a little bit, especially, working with pricing and stuff, being like, oh, my pricing too high, this is too much. It's you gotta pay yourself first off. You can't be a blessing if
mm-hmm.
you can't afford to be a blessing.
Yeah.
And also just realizing if God gave you the gift, don't undervalue it. It's disrespectful to him if you're like, well, I'm only worth so much. If he gave you the gift, it matters.
That is wonderful. Yeah. So okay, here's a off the entrepreneurial question, but I was thinking about you and the 8 siblings. There's 8. So does your mom rope you in to help with the younger ones in their homeschooling?
So there's 8 of us, right? And we are mostly self-taught. What she does is like for the younger, from like 3rd grade and down, she does a lot with teaching them to read, teaching them to do math. And after that, it's a lot of us, we learn through books.
Like guiding yourselves and being self-motivated. That's wonderful.
And then us older kids are there like, my mom doesn't know Latin. Well, we learn Latin. So us older kids, when the little ones have problems, are like, help! And us older ones can fill in there. Or like if I'm out there getting lunch and the littles need help, we're kind of all we just fill in when we're needed, kind of like substitute teachers.
Like, well, you're a team, right? And that's a beauty of homeschooling, is being flexible and helping each other out where you need it. Yeah. How much time do you spend with the Pieces of Forever when you make a pillow? Is that you start with the project, is it like knock one out in a day, or do you have to plan it for a while? Like what's
it depends. So if I'm like the man I mentioned earlier whose wife passed away, his was a very simple project because there wasn't a whole lot of pieces. It was one garment and I can, cut that up and piece that up pretty easily. For some others, it's a little more complicated. The cat sweater was a very complicated project. That was a whole lot of cutting and pasting. And
was that knit? Was it a knit sweater? And you had to figure out how to.
It was a knit sweater with 3D cats on it and gems and buttons, and it was insanity. Ugliest pillow ever, but it's so ugly it's funny.
That's fabulous. Yeah.
So that one took me like 10 hours, I think. That was a complex project.
So those are the kind that you will remember forever.
Yes.
But it was a challenge.
That piece is going to stick with me forever. That was quite the experience.
That is awesome. These days, I know you've got a job, and the Pieces of Forever is part of your story, and you're working on your authorship. What does the rest of life look like for you?
It looks like 8 siblings. It looks like church. I'm a pastor's kid.
Then you're busy with church. Yes, you are.
Yep. It's a lot of volunteer work at a barn. We work with a lot of kids who've gone through troubled pasts. I'm a session leader there. It means coffee dates with friends and I guess the normal things of life. Working in the garden, smelling flowers. The things that make
a rich and full life, it sounds like. Yeah. So you're being a faithful steward with what God's given you to do. So that's wonderful. Yeah. All right. Let's tell everybody how to get in touch with you on Etsy and any place else you'd like for them to connect with you. So go ahead.
Yeah. So if you want to get in contact with me, you can find me on Etsy. It's Pieces of Forever Co. And I'm on there. You can message me if you have any questions. I'm also on YouTube. I have a little YouTube channel, and that's fun.
So we will link with that in the show notes. Yes.
Good. You can find me on there. I have little process videos. And then I'm also on Gab Social. I'm not particularly active on there right now, but you can find me on their marketplace. And that's about the little places I am.
That is awesome, girl. Well, thank you so much for fitting me into your day. I think everyone's going to be blessed to hear about Pieces of Forever and to hear from a homeschool graduate. Like these were the things that helped you grow and what you're doing now. So thanks so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
So this has been Vicki and Lydia Smith from Pieces of Forever. at the Homeschool High School Podcast, brought to you by 7sistershomeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. We will see you all next week.